Welcome back to my workshop journey, and we're coming to the point where I'm actually going to be putting the banding into the top of the top of the workpiece. But during the week I've realised that there's a job that I need to do before that, and that is to make sure the top is the correct size, and I do need to tidy up these two long edges. Reason being, all I did, if you remember going way back, was make the butt joint with the biscuits, but this is still rough cut on both edges, and that needs to be tidied up. And I'm thinking ahead so that when I fit the piece, this back edge here is going to be on the back edge of the workpiece, which means this front edge needs to be cut down a little. And of course you'll notice there's a big overhang, and it was a thought that I was going to perhaps have the whole piece lifting like that. I've discussed this with my wife, and she actually knows what the piece is all about now. So her thought is she would prefer the lid to open like that. That's fine. So this actually needs to be cut down as well. So first thing I'm going to be doing is cutting the top to size, and then I can put the banding rabbets in. So that's for the first thing. Actually make sure the top is going to be the correct size. So the first thing I need to do is to make sure that this square straight edge is going to help me to make the cut. So I'll make this cut perpendicular, so I'll just mark that, and that's where I forgot to get the rule. Just extend that all the way across. There we go. And that was definitely not square. So that's where I'm going to be cutting. That's the reference line that will go on this back edge of the workpiece, and then like that. I think I will have a little bit of a leading edge on this front of the piece. So currently I have how much of an overhang? Currently that is 20mm overhang. If I make that 10, so the whole of the carcass is 352. So if I make that 362 from that line, that will give me a little lip so that we can open the lid. So 362. There we go. And square that across. That's that. And then this will be flush with the side. So that's that. And the whole lot is 455. That. Four, 5, 5. There we go. Voila. Okay, so that is the piece that I'm going to be working with. What I'm going to do now is just set up the table saw, because I want to keep everything very square, and the bandsaw is not quite up to the task. So set the table saw up, then I can take these edges off. Right, I didn't fancy leaving the table saw on the ground, so I'm just using the old bandsaw stand to raise this up off the ground. Right, that's the top. Just adjust the height of the saw so it's just coming through with a bit of clearance, and really I ought at this point to put the guard on. If I can remember how to get it out. That's it. So raise it right up again. And there's a locking pin here that goes into this slot here. And just make sure it's going in. That's it. That's now nice and tight. That will move out of the way nicely, and because of the length of the top, I'm going to have to move the guard a couple of times so that I can keep it nice and square to the table. So it might need a couple of tiny passes just as I ease the workpiece over. So, dust extraction pipe is in place, the power is on, let's make the cuts. And I didn't expect that. I was expecting the whole thing to be able to pivot up. So let's make sure that will now go under. There we go. Okay. Try again. It's a nicer finish. That will sand nicely. Let me just double check that I have the piece square before I do anything. Yes, is the answer to that. Good. The last thing I want is to ruin this whole piece just by a bit of bad cutting. Okay. Next up. Those will tidy up nicely. That is now the correct size. And we can now set up for the banding cut. The next thing I've got to do is decide where to actually make the cuts. I can make them equally spaced from the edges, or I can make because this is the long dimension, I can put it a little further from the ends than the sides. I think I'm going to keep it equidistant. That means I only have to move the fence once. Now they are 11mm bands, so really what is going to be the most pleasing? And little roll. Now if I, at the moment that is about 30mm from the edge. Is that going to look nice? Let's have a look. 30mm. Oops. And then another two 30mm. Is roughly there, and £30 is not that piece. There. Does that look alright, or do I make it 40? What's 40 like? £40 is that? Oops. 40. And 40. And then now let me just tilt the camera slightly so that you can see the corner. I think 40 will be better because it's a large piece. I really want to be able to break up the solid nature. Yeah, so if I make the outer edge of the banding 40mm from the edge. Okay, yep, that's sorted. I'll set the fence and then we can make the cut. Right, so I'm wanting 40mm from the fence to this back edge of the router cutter. So let's just make sure that that is perpendicular. 40mm. Currently that is at about 13. So it's got to go back quite a way. That's 42, and then I've got the 1mm. Yeah, 1mm. Is it 1mm of the? No, 1.5. So that's got to come back about 2.5. Right, so that's roughly correct. Let's just tighten that up. What I'm going to do is a test cut so I can just make sure everything's in the right place. Pop the slides back, get a piece of scrap wood, a piece that I used last week will be fine, and see what the cut's like. And that was the fence side, so that is spot on 40mm. I like that lots. Okay, so that's all positioned correctly. Let's make the cuts. That's the side that I'm working on. That's going to be the top. So there we go. All ready. And what a result. I'm ever so pleased with the way that that's cut, and a nice comfortable depth, because my thought being, once I've cleaned this up and glued the banding in place, I'm going to then panel raise this top, and it will give a nice, very nice chamfer and contour to the end of the banding as it cuts through the edge. Right, let me just clear up and then I can glue the banding in place. There's the 4 channels. There's a little bit of tidying up to do where the router cutter has come through. A chisel will just take that off, but that's going to be a nice tight fit for the banding with the glue joint. And I think what I'll do is just position this edge slightly proud, then I can cut it flush like that. I'll put the 2 long pieces in first, and then I think what I might do is just, once that's gone off, I will recut these 4 intersections on the router, because then I won't have to manually cut and perhaps spoil the banding. So first things first, I will glue the 2 long pieces into place. I want to make sure I've got plenty of glue in because one thing I don't want is for the banding to pop out again. And so not only down at the bottom of the rebate, but up the sides as well. That way everything will be forced together nicely. Okay, so slightly proud of the end. That's that one. I must say I am thoroughly enjoying this project. It's amazing how much I've amended my mental idea of this project as I've gone along, because of talking it through to camera and therefore to you, and getting feedback from some of you, like Tim and Anna from last week, and just having an idea come to me during the week. And make sure I've got the thinner of the banding strips on the right side, the correct side. Okay, so that's that. Let me just grab the clamps. And just tack them into place. There we go. Just tidy up with the glue that's spread as I was putting it in. Right. So that's as far as I'm going to go for today, because obviously, well, I might as well cut these to length while that's gluing up, and that'll save me a job for next week. dovetail saw. This is the nearest thing I have. Not quite a flush saw. But close enough, and everything else will sand out. So, thanks for watching, and next week I'll just recut these 4 intersections, glue the second pieces of banding into place, and it should set quite quickly next week, and then I can do the panel raising.